I think the obstacles that are most obvious to me, there are certainly dozens of them, but some of those that are most obvious to me right now are one that we don't have an evolutionary way of sensing something like increasing carbon dioxide emissions. So it's really not on our radar, and it's only through the use of highly technical tools that we can even understand that this is happening. And so naturally, you know, as humans, we focus on the things that are more pressing and more in front of us. And that barrier is reiterated to me day after day as I try to make the case with people from all walks of life that we have to take this issue more seriously. Another huge barrier is institutional inertia. We have governments that are set up that are not designed to deal with wicked problems like climate change. They're not designed to handle transformative shifts. They're not designed to change systems dramatically in response to huge and overwhelming problems. And I think part of that is, frankly, it comes down to personalities. We have people in the institutions that they're hired because they're willing to help make the system continue in the direction in which it's going. I think at all levels of government, we see people who are willing to continue business as usual and to defend business as usual, when that's exactly the opposite of what's needed. It's interesting, I find that people at all levels, so whether it's engaging with residents in our community or elected officials, it's not always clear exactly how we're going to solve this problem. Most people don't have an understanding of where are emissions coming from, where are the problems, and how do we tackle those problems. But it's pretty straightforward. It's not a secret. It's not rocket science. It's part of the problem is that it's so pedestrian. It's insulating our homes, and it's shifting off of natural gas and moving to electricity, and then making sure that our electricity grid is renewable. It's shifting the way we get around. It's using mass transportation more frequently. It's getting around on bikes and on foot. It's not rocket science. It's all doable. But I find people get a little bit paralyzed by not necessarily knowing what the answer is. That's because there's not one answer. There are dozens of answers, and they're all over the place, and they all have to be done. But none of them are insurmountable. I think what makes me most hopeful, there are a couple things. One is watching my daughter step up and take her own future into her own hands and really bring her voice to this issue in a way that I couldn't have imagined, and that I'm inspired by every time I watch it. Another thing that keeps me hopeful is that we're a pretty creative bunch. You know, not just this town or this state. As a country, we're an incredibly creative bunch of people. And when we put our minds to something, we can do whatever we want. We landed a guy on the moon, for goodness sakes. We can crack this nut if we want to. When and if we decide that we're going to take this seriously, I believe it's completely solvable. That makes me hopeful.